Hello and welcome back. So this is my sixth watercolor clouds painting. And are we really surprised that it wasn't a sunset? No, I'm just going to call it clouds from here on out because I've given up. Whatever. I think it's fine. It's whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But so basically today, I think I'm going to try something new with the editing and do it real time instead of a time lapse. I don't know. We'll see. And in case it wasn't clear before, the time lapse that's going on of like the sky, that's the sky that was that night. I don't know if that's not clear. Whatever. Anyways, today's kind of a story time. So I decided to mix it up. I go to the University of Miami, if you didn't know, so I decided to go there for sunset, and I found a spot, I set up, I start painting, and because it is a college campus, there are people walking around, so, people are walking by, but then all of a sudden I feel someone watching me, that feeling when you're like, rrr. So I turn around, and there's this woman that's watching me, and to make a long story short, we ended up getting into a full conversation for probably about 15-20 minutes about watercolor, and she's trying to learn. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, not my learning process, but I want to talk a little bit about me and art. So basically, she was asking me, have you done this before? How long have you done this? And I was explaining, no, I've literally only done watercolor for 6 days. This journal is all that I have. I've never done it, but I do have experience in other art. And when I was explaining it to her, it really, kind of hit me that my whole entire life, I think that I've just had this affinity towards art, and I'm not going to say that I was born with talent because obviously babies aren't born knowing how to do stuff, but every time I'm in an art classroom or every time I'm being taught something new artistically or I'm learning something new, whether it's on my own or in a classroom, I have always been able to sort of pick it up, and it's not that right away on my first try I'm good at it. That's not what happens, but I think for whatever reason, for the most part, when I watch someone do something and then I try and do it a few times by my within the first 5 tries, I'm able to not nail it, but pick it up to the point where I can manipulate it and kind of work with it in a way. And for my whole entire life, that's kind of been the case. It was first I started out with colored pencil and I picked that up very quickly in the first few drawings, and then it just kind of snowballed and I kept doing it. And obviously, my first colored pencil drawing is not amazing. It's not the best, but what I'm saying is that I think for a beginner, I've always just kind of gotten off on the right foot with things, and that even, transferred when I started doing collaging. I kind of picked it up and was able to kind of manipulate it and find a way that I like doing it and start using it as a tool versus trying to still learn it, if that makes sense. Because when you're trying to learn something, you do all the basic exercises, you do the contour line drawings, you do the studies of still lifes, all that stuff. But for me, it was kind of I could skip those things, kind of. And I know this might be coming off weird, but that's just something that's it's been that way for me for so long, and it's not that I didn't have to learn how to use something. It's just that when I started to do something, I picked it up fairly quickly and was able to improve, I would say, faster than other people. And the only reason I say that was because in classroom settings, when we would be introduced to something new, like, for example, acrylic paint, I had never used acrylic paint until my senior year of high school, and I was in a classroom setting, and it was just kind of my paintings always kind of stood out a little bit. And it even transferred into this year. I took my first college art class. It was typography, but we didn't really do typography. But anyways, every time we would do an exercise, mine was kind of the one that the teacher picked and was like, wow, that's really good. Don't fix anything. You're good. I don't know. I feel like I'm coming off as braggy, and that's not what I'm saying, because watercolor, this is my first time using it. And a few years ago, I did try using it, and it went well. And I was like, wow, I'm so good at this. I don't need to do it again. But now that I'm picking it up again, I think that I'm finding it a lot harder. And I think maybe the thing is that because every time I do something, I always tend to gravitate towards people, and I always kind of use that as my subject matter. So when I started doing colored pencil, I immediately started drawing hands and faces, and I picked that up. And then when I started doing collaging, I even started with collages of faces and people. And then when I started manipulating collages even further in my AP portfolio, I started incorporating faces and pictures of faces into my final collages. And even drawing on top of those collages with faces. So things like that. Faces have always been, and people, I would say, have always been the main subject matter for most of my art pieces, and that even follows through to when I started learning acrylic and started kind of teaching myself. I was painting people, and that was it. And the people that I painted actually ended up being on these just blank color backgrounds, and now I'm really starting to feel that it was because I don't know how to do landscapes at all, ever. Have never once ever in my life tried to do landscapes in any way, shape, or form, let alone doing it from real life. And everyone that's an artist speaks to the importance of doing real life drawing. So when you're learning gesture drawing or you're doing studies, it's so important when you're studying the human body to have those actual models and to go take a class where there's a model in front of you and you're doing those sketches versus a screen or a picture. And there's even an intermediate where you're the one that has taken the picture and then you go and try and draw it later because you remember what it feels like and you were in that moment and you took that picture, so you can kind of recall from your own memory and not just the screen the actual image that you're trying to portray. But I've never really done that. I mean, like, ever. I'm really trying to think. I've never, ever really done that. And not even of myself. I've did one self-portrait once, but that was even like through a mirror. And I think that that's different because it's a self-portrait. So I've never done like real life studies, and I've never really done landscapes. And I think that that is something that I'm learning real hard today, is that like those are the things that I need to work on more, not necessarily watercolor. And I think that that's just what I'm figuring out. So I think in my own free time, I would like to work on more landscapes, you know, even past this. I would say maybe, I think it's going to be about 20. I think I have 16 pages in this sketchbook. So past this 16 to 20 day challenge thing, I would like to do more drawings from life, and I would like to do more landscapes. And I never would have discovered that on my own, because on my own accord, like if you just give me a pen and some paper, I'll draw a human, like a person, and I won't necessarily worry about the setting. That's never been something that I focused. But anyways, I'm getting whatever. So I think today was a great lesson. I made a new friend, and today's painting, I'd say I'm 50-50 on. It's okay. It's not the best. It's not my worst. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the real life, the real speed, the life, what's the word? Real time. I hope you enjoyed the real time painting of this video. And yes, I will see you tomorrow for another one. Fingers crossed for the sunset. If not, we're just going to make it work, because that's what we do here. Okay. Follow me on Instagram if you want. Okay, bye.